Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. I wanted to hop on real quick and let you know that I am now accepting sponsors. I was hesitant to do this at first because I wanted the sponsors and the products to really associate with the brand and the podcast, and I wanted it to align with what I'm doing. But I've decided to open up for sponsorship, and there's a couple of different options. You can do a single sponsorship or you can do a longer term. So let me know if that is anything that anybody might want to do. Hit me up on my website, livelifewithlauren.com, or you can find me on social media. Thanks.
Welcome to the Go With Your Gut podcast, a podcast to help you manage your mindset. Because if you don't manage your mind, it'll control you. With speaker, writer, and creator, Lauren Dreyer.
This is not where I'm supposed to be. I'm sitting here going through life. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today we have an amazing guest for you, and her name is Isabel Camacho Black. She is co-founder of Activate Your Power Now. We talked to James Love last week, and he is her co-founder. And I'm excited to have her on today because she is a rock star, and she's got a good story that I think could benefit everybody. So I will let her introduce herself, and then we will get to the good stuff. Izzy.
Hey, what's up, Lauren? So thank you, first of all. Well, thank you for having me on the show. And I've been listening and I love it. I love, love, love it. And I love you give me that new term now. I always say now, go with your gut and then keep going. You can't stop there. But thank you for having me on the show. Thank you for getting my name totally right. That was awesome. I'm always like, I'm totally okay with people doing their best. But you nailed it. I'm Isabel Luz Camacho Black, or Izzy the Intentional Healer. And I call myself an intentional healer because I am doing my part to heal myself, right? And it is my belief that when we heal ourselves and we go on a journey to heal ourselves, because it's not something you'll actually ever fully achieve, becoming your best, but it's that daily practice. You right, we're gonna have something we got to have something to strive for. So yes, I do my best every day intentionally to declare who I am, who I want to be, and why. And then I have an intentional practice where I pause and breathe daily. And what this is this is actually meditation and prayer. So it's an important factor to start my day, to end my day, and now it's just part of my day. It is my day. So that pause, that breath, and then allowing spirit to guide the next best step. So this is my new practice. This is why I'm Izzy the Intentional Healer, because as I go on this healing journey of my own, I naturally, organically am doing my part to help heal everything that I touch, everywhere that I go, because I come with this intentional healing energy. And it's my goal to just spread it as much as I can.
And that you sure do. If you've heard me talk about it or you heard James talk about it last week, we have a monthly speaker series called Activate Your Power Now. And there's two different branches. Is that what we're calling them? Anyway.
Yeah, chapters.
Chapters. That's what I was looking for. Okay. There's two different chapters, and they have been very powerful, but we will talk about that a little later. I want to know, and I want everybody else to know about you, because you've had and are on quite a journey. So I want to start with talking about a moment in your life. I know you've got a decent few where you had to listen to that internal feeling. You had to go with your gut, listen to your gut, and talk about how that affected you and how it has led you.
Absolutely. So yes, when I was praying and meditating on this topic, going with your gut and thinking of a time where it was crucial for me to go with my gut feeling, regardless if I understood clearly why I was being called to do what I was doing. And I'll tell you, this was in 2000. I'm going to share a story of 2019. I have plenty. Follow me on YouTube, Isabel Black, and you can find all the times I've spoken on Activate Your Power Now, where I've shared bits and pieces of my story. So watch them all because you get something different every time. But this particular time, this story that I'm going to share, this was 2019. And I'm going to set the scene a little bit for you. So my daughter's getting ready to graduate that year. So my husband and I, we've raised our three children, and we're getting the last one out the door. And we just can't wait, right, to have that me and him time, because when he met me, I was a mom of three. So we've never had Dave and Isabel time. So we've held on to that, through all the struggles of parenting and stuff. To have something to look forward to. Well, here we were. And even though we were there and we should have been excited that we had got that far, life was heavy. Life was still happening. Generational cycles were surfacing. And now I was watching my children live these generational cycles. And I couldn't understand where did this happen? I did my best. I broke the cycles. How did they fall into this? And so there was a lot going on. Throughout the years, my husband and I had been the ones in our family that we helped raise other children in the family. Almost everybody in my family had lived with us at one point or another. My parents, my siblings, nieces, nephews. And so 2019, we're that close to what we've been waiting for so long. And my mom calls me. She texts me, actually. And I get a random text. I'm at my office. I'm an insurance agent at this time. And it says, "Hi, Mija. I know you said not to ask anymore," because she had lived with us numerous times and it didn't work. Our generational cycles were still there, hot and heavy. She said, "I know you said not to ask you again, but for some reason, I feel like I just need to ask. I really need to leave where," she was with her boyfriend, and she just kept finding herself unhappy there. So she kept leaving him, staying with us, and then wanting to go back, and then coming, kind of going back and forth. And the last time I told her, "I'm not participating in that cycle. You don't get your cake and you don't get to eat it too. If we want to be in a relationship, we got to go through the good and the bad. We don't get to run."
Yep.
So I told her not to ask me anymore. Well, 2019, I'm sitting in my office and I get this text message. And my first reaction is rage, right? I don't know I have an anger issue yet. Yeah, I kind of do, but I'm like, I'm still in denial. And I feel in my gut a rage, this knot all of a sudden. And it's like, she doesn't get it. She doesn't get it. She doesn't care. She doesn't care the position she puts you in every time and how she compromises the happiness of your family. And, I start going on all the negative stuff. And all of a sudden, I'm like, take a deep breath. And all of a sudden, because I'm already practicing intentional living, and all of a sudden, I'm like, get this peaceful feeling over me. And it was like, it's time for her to come back. Something told me it's time. And in that moment, I remember thinking, that's fine and dandy if I think it's time. How am I going to even begin to share this with my husband? And
Yeah.
I guarantee he's not going to think it's time. So as I have that thought, unexpectedly, he walks through the door of my office. And I'm like, "Hey," and I have these conflicting feelings within me. And I'm like, okay, he's here, which means, right, like he's not that he's ever in a bad mood, but we all go to work and we get
Yeah.
put work on us and take it home with us and all that stuff. So I'm like, he's feeling good if he took the time out to come to my office just to say hi. Or he
Yeah.
needs, maybe he just needs to share this space. So I was like, I'm not going to muck it up with
Yeah.
this conversation. And as soon as I had that thought, my mouth starts opening. And I tell him about the text message that I just received. Now I'm 2 years into my intentional journey at this point. 1 year where my family and my husband and everybody knows about it because it was my little secret the first year. And he's kind of standing over me. I'm showing him the text message and I'm just trying to see what his energy is going to be. And he's just kind of starts rubbing my shoulder and he's like, well, what do you think? And I'm like, okay, this is already taking a different course, right, God? Okay, your will, your way. I already surrendered myself to you. And 2017 was when I declared my intentional living and doing life on purpose with purpose. And so I knew already in that moment, even if it looks the same, it's not the same right now. And I said, well, I was honest. I said at first, I got pissed. I said, but as I sit here, Spirit's telling me that it's time. I said, I don't want to tell her that yet because she'll be here next week. I said, I need to sit on this. That was my new practice, the pause, the breath. And he said, well, I'll support anything, any decision you make. I'm like,
Wow.
okay. So there I was in a position to go with logic, right? Let's go
Yeah.
with facts.
Yeah.
It never works out. We are both still the same people. Sure, I'm an intentional journey, but what that doesn't mean she's on an intentional journey and she's one of my biggest triggers. So, but I had to circle it back to, well, what is my belief? Why do I wake up and do what I do every day? Breathe and invest. I had already started unpiecing that. We're writing our story every day as we live. Let's just be intentional, so we're happy when we're rereading the book or other people are reading the book.
Yeah.
It's stuff we're proud of. So I told my mom, I said, it's not a yes and it's not a no. So just with that for her was again on her end,
Yeah.
right? Probably mind blowing because the old me, when it was just about me and saving my
Yeah.
kids from the cycles in my little narrow world, not for a bigger cause,
Yep.
it would have been see, this is why I don't even like having a relationship with you because it's a take all you
Yep.
ever want. You always want something from me, and stuff. That would have been the old response.
Yeah.
So I said yes. Needless to say, the following year I lost my job April 2020 to COVID shutdown, and then had my diagnosis of breast cancer just a couple months later. I didn't know that I needed mommy. I needed mommy there.
Yep.
So I know I'm prepared with the story if you want to slide into the next question because I prepared what I was going to
Yeah.
say for these questions.
Well, and that actually leads beautifully right into that next one because
Mhm.
um we talk a lot about those stories, but it's always that as you just said, that internal and external criticism. And I think it's interesting that you were just saying that your immediate reaction was heck no, rage, get mad about it because been there, done that, right? And I love that you took a minute to pause. And I think it's crazy how you say this calmness came over me because we as humans tend to react large, loud, and it's again been there, done that. So this is how I'm going to react because why would it ever change? But instead, it can be different. And it's like, okay, we have to learn to meet people where they are. And as you said, you just absolutely never know what's coming, what you're going to need. And
Exactly.
it was, no, it's time. It's time for her to come in, and being open to that, because it's really hard internally, especially when you learn to listen to that, to decipher between the logic piece that's like, no, not doing this, and that putting your ego aside, right?
Right.
Saying, no, no, I think I'm going to change my mind and we're going to go the other way. So talk us through how you kind of continue to work through that. And I know it's not the last time you've had to do that.
No, it hasn't. And that was for me great practice, right, on this new journey I had declared in November 2017 of being a vessel of God, the God that I
Yeah.
believe in, the Almighty Creator, and making Jesus Christ my idol. The thing, if I'm gonna look up to anything, well, it might as well be Him, you know.
Yeah.
So He's the way to my salvation. So um it really was, it for me, it boils down to, I constantly ask myself this, and I will ask other people this, and it throws them off, but it's a question I learned years ago in a Bible study Dave and I did, and it was called the Truth Project, which I would love to do again with some people. Um, but it poses the question, do you really believe what you believe to be true is really true? Your actions will show it.
Yeah.
So I always have to ask myself, do what, and in this moment I had to say, well, do I really believe what I really believe is really true, Isabel? Well, how do I know? Okay, well, what do you believe? I have to be clear on my beliefs.
Yep.
So, well, I know God is almighty. I know God does miracles every day. I know that we are His miracles, and it's up to us to tap into this divine power within and stuff. So, if I know all this to be true, um, for me, and I know that we were all created equally, then I know that to be true to the person next to me also, and to my mother. I have to extend grace, right? Compassion. And some of the attachments that were going on for me during that, when I said yes, and she came and moved in, and it wasn't easy because it was trigger after trigger on both ends. And um, I know that some of the thoughts that were running through my head were, I'm never going to get a different result participating in the same stuff over and over. Well, one, I had to pause long enough to realize, well, that's a lie. First of all, that was deceit. That was an illusion, because if I had already started my intentional journey in 2017, I, eh, if nothing else, if not her or anything else, I am choosing to be a different person. So no matter how much she triggers me, it's up to me to how I will respond to it. So it was that forced me to go on an internal journey of self, of accountability, because I couldn't complain to my husband. My husband's like, you would have been like, you're the one who wanted her here. You said it was
Yep.
God, you said. So I had to really start making sure my actions prove that what I believe to be true is really true. Um, I had a lot of external people saying, "Oh, you didn't learn your lesson the last time? Okay, Isabel, we know how this is going to play out." Man, that's, in so many ways I would get offended because people would roundabout way be calling me naive or things
Yeah.
like that, but I didn't feel naive. I felt powerful in my decision, because I knew, again, I had devoted myself to God's will, God's way.
Yeah.
So, um, so we're living together, and this is, it didn't take long before I realized I was face to face with myself. And this was, I believe, right before my cancer diagnosis. It was before my cancer diagnosis, right before we were in the backyard doing some yard work. And my mom had said something, because we had my niece and my great nephew living there also. And she said something, she made a statement that was making my niece a victim. And that was what my mom was always, that's what triggers me. And she lives in victim world, and
Mhm.
everyone around her that she cares about, she wants to drag them in there, instead of empowering
Yeah,
them. And she made it, was just talking, and she talked in that sense. So I was like, well, I challenged her. I was like, well, let's empower her. She's not a victim. Let's give find where her strength is in this narrative, and lift her up, and stop putting her down in that low vibration energy. And she didn't understand what I was saying. And, it was like a deer in the headlight
right.
look. And that started again, that rage in my stomach, because my brain starts telling me, you are 60 years old. How do you not know this? How am I speaking a different language right now? Again, the compassion
Yeah,
wasn't there. Um the understanding, that of the life she has lived and why she's here at this
yeah,
age and this mindset. So next thing you know, when I'm triggered, that's the scary part of why I have to practice so hard, is
yeah.
because, you don't even know when you get to where you're at next. And I realized where I found myself next was standing in front of my mother, almost touching nose to nose. And I had just lifted the lawn chair outside, and I was lifting it like if I was going to throw it at her first. And I could just see her staring at me like, bitch, do it. I dare you.
Ooh.
And my husband, I look over there, and because he was putting new fence up, he was replacing our privacy fence. And I see him just staring at me, because he's really thinking I'm about to do something,
Yeah.
and I haven't been triggered like that in a long time, but I haven't lived with my mom in a long time. And well, it had been about 5 years. And I remember I picked up the chair and I threw it, and then I ran up to her. And I don't know why I ran up to her like that, but I think she thought I was about to attack her, because I have before. And I was this close. I didn't even know what to say in that moment. Just shame. I just filled with shame. And it was like, this is why she's here. You
Oh,
call yourself living an intentional life. Anybody can be intentional when you're hiding from your triggers.
oh, oh, that's big.
Oh man, it gives me goosebumps. I haven't shared this story. And David, my mom, if she knows I'm sharing it, she'll probably be like, yeah, I'm glad you're saying all the bullshit you do too.
But I think this is so cool that you're sharing this, because a couple of things come to mind. Um, we, from the relationships that need to be healed, those are the things that happen. We get placed in those seasons, circumstances, we get placed in those times, and we're just like, I don't know. And then it's like, let me prove to you what I'm doing here and why you're here, because this relationship needs to be healed. But it also makes me think of, I've talked about this before, because I've seen it happen with a lot of people, that you were talking earlier about, those generational tendencies that get passed down, that we don't even know, just because it's how it's always been, it's what we've always done, etc. And it seems like it's like you were the one that it's like, no, this stops with me.
Exactly.
And that's a big job.
Huge. And it started at a very young age. It was very obvious at a young age that I was the way, I was the change. My
Yeah.
parents didn't deny it then. My older siblings didn't deny it. And as we've grown, and now we have children, nieces, nephews,
Yeah.
stuff, they all see me as, yes, I have always been the way, the change promoter, um and I still love my family. We still
Yeah.
celebrate together. Everyone who's willing to play nice. If you're
Yeah.
not willing to play nice, you're not welcome. You're welcome when you're willing to play
Right.
nice. So it's just learning to set boundaries and stuff that took a lot of time and a lot of years. And a
Yeah.
lot of turning on myself because they make you question, right? Why you're
Yeah.
putting these boundaries because it no longer benefits them.
Yeah.
But I do want to continue on the
Yeah.
story and
Yeah.
bring
Yeah.
it full circle because me and you would not know each other right now
Yeah.
if it wasn't for me saying yes to bringing my mom home to live with us
Yeah.
during that time. Because fast forward 2020, got my cancer diagnosis, and my mom was living there, and I had already had that episode, so I was able to now be accountable. I went on an accountability journey because I realized that I was the problem a lot of times. I don't care who said what, who did what, who what. Ooh, 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 ooh. That could have been a song. Uh, I was the problem because I was not being responsible for my reactions and my behaviors. And even when I learned how to control my vocal cords and not always open my mouth and speak, my body language and my energy weren't matching. So
Yep.
you see, like Terrence says with BTBY, as you can see here in my background, your tongues have to match. They have to. Nobody's going to take you serious until you take yourself serious.
Yep.
So, get my cancer and had 3 major surgeries in 3 months. Well, my mom, my biggest trigger is such, I mean, she's an Aquarius, so she's just, she's a beautiful spirit. She's a hippie spirit, and she's always been a creator of things.
Okay.
And she, at that time, for the past 10 years, it's been going on 12 now, she makes all natural salves, plant-based salves. Her friend and neighbor, Sandy, taught her how to put a concoction of 4 things together that you can kind of add or add anything to for different ailments and different things. So it was with my surgeries that my mom said I was having complications and for my pain and everything. And she said, use the salve. Well, visit the website and you'll have all my handles on this attached to this podcast. But she kept telling me use the salve, and I was hesitant, but I finally did, and praise God because that salve literally, I say it saved my life. Go to the website, read my story if you want to know how, or reach out and I'll talk more. But it saved my life. And it was after coming out of my cancer and healing from the surgeries and other complications and learning the power of this plant medicine that spirit told me I would now be sharing it. He brought me this far so that I can share it with the world. That is why I took my first speaking class where I met James Griffin, or James Love, co-founder of Activate Your Power Now. And it's because I was going there to learn how to speak on this new business I was starting of plant medicine, which I knew nothing about. All I knew is my experience, right? It was my mom's gift. So I said, well, I need to go learn how to figure out who my customer is and how to speak their language and
Yep.
all of that good stuff. And it was during that speaker's class that James and I had this great awakening, or activation is what we call it, to what we were really there for. And that was to launch Activate Your Power Now, to activate stories within us. Activate your story. That means don't fear who you are and where you come from, right? Or what you've gone through. Embrace it. And that's why I think I shared a meme today, or a post saying that, I'm grateful for my triggers. I truly am grateful for my triggers now. And it was the experience I just shared with you all that really took me on that journey of truly being grateful for my triggers and all the times that I'm reminded of who I am, why I'm here, and what I'm here to do. It allows me to rise above over and over again.
Yeah. So we're almost to the end, but I want your take on this, and I think I know, but I want you to share with everybody. So as you've continued with this journey, especially with being a part of, in your background, becoming the best you, and doing whatever you have to with Activate Your Power Now. And you're doing a lot of stuff, honestly. So anytime that we go on that journey of doing something that is honestly bigger than us,
Mhm.
and that people don't understand, the more you just keep going with it, the more people come, and from honestly out of the woodwork everywhere, I think. And it's why, how come, and it's criticism and all that honestly comes with that. So
Mhm.
how do you figure out how to honestly let that fall off your shoulders and say, you know, I'm going to keep going with doing this because, I mean, obviously you feel called, you've been called, all that delightful stuff, but it doesn't make it any easier, right? And
No, but that's why you have to, to jump in here and help anybody who's feeling like something greater is calling, but you're just hitting walls, no support, nobody's understanding, so it's making you question. The number one thing is you must know your why.
yep,
And your why has to be bigger than your current circumstances, than your past, than generational cycles, than traumas, and it has to be bigger than what other people are thinking or saying around you. So be clear with your why. If you're unclear about your why, or you think your why is too small after hearing what I just said, then please reach out to any one of us, Lauren, James. Activate Your Power Now, because we would love to take you on a journey of figuring out your divine purpose, your grand why. What's your bigger why? And if you are clear on your why, then anytime you face any friction in life, whether it be from things or people, you'll always have something to bring yourself back to that it'll fill your spirit without you even trying. All you have to do is acknowledge it and declare it, and God makes a way for the rest. So, and it makes it easier when you're facing those people asking why. You have something clear to say back and stand firm on your feet, because I'm here to serve humanity. I'm here to help heal humanity. That's a big job. How do you do that? Healing myself. How do you heal yourself? I go on a journey within, which means I allow God to lead, which means I don't question, which means nothing's too big, nothing's too small, which means thank you for asking of how I do this. Would you like to join me too? It's a great place to live. And people will see when you're living it because you glow. Lauren, I can see you glow. You glow in everything you do because everything you do is of servancy. I've known you long enough and I've been around you long enough to know that to be true. And people when they see that in consistency, they can't help it. They're going to want it. We're made to want to mimic each other. We were made to want what each other has. That's why we just, like they say, there's nothing wrong with being a copycat as long as you're copying the right cat.
yeah,
So put yourself around people that you want to strive to be, not that you want to be them, but you want to be around that energy, that vibrational energy that you seek.
absolutely. And I mean, Izzy, you know this. I will say that kind of as you were just describing, when you decide, honestly, to go for that bigger, whatever it is, and, the logic comes in and says, here's all the reasons that you shouldn't, wouldn't, don't, whatever it is. It's very interesting when you learn to push that aside, learn to say, we'll see. Nope, I'm gonna do this anyway. And as those obstacles, as those roadblocks, as that criticism comes at you, and you say, no, I trust that if it's supposed to happen, it'll happen, and it'll happen how it needs to, whether that be my
Right.
way or not.
Mhm.
Even small things will move out of the way so that it can happen, and nobody else gets it. And it's hilarious because you watch days, weeks, months unfold, and you're just kind of like, okay, this is what I'm going for. I don't understand why. I don't know. But this is where I'm feeling in my gut. I need to go. This is what I need to make happen. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, this canceled, or this came through, or however you want to look at that. But the way is made, right? And the people who want to speak out, the people who want to criticize, all of a sudden that kind of just goes in the back, and it's kind of like, it is what it is. Just because they say it doesn't mean we need to take it, right?
Exactly.
When you can learn to do that, huge, big things happen. So, Izzy, I know you told everybody a minute ago, and I will put it in the show notes. Tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me on Facebook, Isabel Luz Camacho Black. You can find me on Instagram, Izzy the Healer, I believe. But you can find all my handles at www.activateyourpowernow.com. You'll find all my social media handles there. And YouTube as well. We have Activate Your Power Now. And also my personal YouTube page that has all the times that I've uploaded so far, where I've gone on stage and spoken and told a piece of my story.
Nice. All right, everybody, if you have anything that you'd like to ask Izzy, or just talk to her, she's great at all of those things, please reach out. We will have all that information in the show notes. But I gotta say, Izzy, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story, sharing your vulnerability, sharing you with everybody, because it takes guts.
It does.
It takes a lot to be able to share those pieces of you. So thank you.
You're welcome. And Lauren, I promise I will keep going with my gut.
Yes, you know the drill.